How was it? How did it go for you?
It's been great.
Yeah?
It's been great. Best escort in the business, and no, it's been really good.
What has nobody talked to you about that you wish they did?
It's a great question. I think we've covered it all. It seems like, yeah.
I imagine. What was sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say from cornhole to college football playoff to Nick Aliotti. Yeah, it's been we've hit the gamut.
Who ended up winning that cornhole game?
Myself and Ashley Adamson. That's going to be, I might put that on my headstone as something that I beat Marcus Mariota in. I'm going to consider that an athletic event.
What's your experience playing cornhole?
Limited.
Yeah.
But I'm on a run right now.
That's right. Maybe you want to retire on top, though.
Exactly. That's a good call.
An option. Getting to football and getting to Marcus, I'm sure you've been talking a lot about him.
Yeah.
He's back this year. Passed up on, I think, we haven't talked to him or you since the spring game, and the draft has happened since then. And when you look at how the draft went down, there didn't seem to be a quarterback that teams were really falling in love with. Bortles went high, Manziel slipped. He, in all likelihood, would have been a top 5, top 10 pick. He chose not to go. Do you feel lucky that he's still here?
I feel fortunate every single day I'm around that guy. Yeah. I think he makes us all better. And really wasn't surprised by his decision. He would have been absolutely the first quarterback picked. Right. And that's based on real knowledge, not on liking this guy and liking that guy, and that's tough to get real knowledge in those situations. And again, I just think that speaks so much to his character. He's a guy that talks the talk and walks the walk. He's a great teammate. He's a he's a great competitor. Very, very competitive guy, which I think he kind of wants to finish this whole thing on his terms. And do I feel fortunate? Absolutely. Did it surprise me? No, just because being around him all the time, you see the type of guy he is, and knowing what he wants to accomplish. I think that's part of the stuff that went into it.
In dealing with him over the past couple of years, what stuck out to me is his character, and I think he's kind of and not to rag on a guy or put a guy down, but he's kind of the anti-Johnny Manziel. He's kind of the opposite of that guy. And you've got two guys who are, Johnny's pro now, but two guys who are the face of their programs, Heisman Trophy candidates, and they couldn't be different, couldn't be more different, personality-wise. Having a guy like Marcus, and that guy is the leader and the face of your team, what does that mean for you as the head coach to have him be the face on the field and off the field?
It's huge when you can turn your back and know that the expectations, the standards are set, and they're not going to slip, and whether it's him offensively, Efo defensively, those guys are high quality dudes that they're going to make sure that it doesn't slip. And by the same token, maybe there's one or two or a couple guys that are kind of halfway in the water, so to speak, in terms of jumping into our system. They go, that guy gave up what, and they're going to pay attention to that, and to turn down that kind of money wakes everybody up, and whether it's an 18-year-old college kid or somebody else that is around these guys, to be better and to follow his example is something that is immeasurable off the field. Yeah.
Speaking of wake-ups and talking to both Derek and Marcus today, we talked about the Arizona game last year. Mm-hmm. What do you think the team learned from that?
Every second of every day counts. And, once again, I know everybody's been asking about the being the preseason favorite. Right. Great. That's great to talk about. It's great for the media. It's great for our fans. That means something. But now, okay, let's look at the past several years here. We've been in that mix and been that close to a lot of things. And, just the total recommitment to our culture, the total recommitment to our process is all that matters. Everybody knows what our goal is. Everybody, obviously that's the goal. No question about that. Right. What are you going to do about it today that matters? Our culture, our process. And the guy, like you said, of the guy that maybe thought, hey, you just show up with the O on your chest and they put 50 points on the scoreboard. That doesn't happen. Right. And by the same token, we're still, we're going to be the hunted and all that stuff. That's great. Yeah. What can we do about that? Focus on us.
Yeah. Is that how do you avoid? Each of the last 3 years has been a late season loss that has kind of derailed the season. How do you avoid that this year?
Commit to the process. Again, it's just that simple and just that difficult. You know, everybody's New Year's resolution is to lose weight, and 90 whatever percent don't.
Right.
And it's just that total commitment to every single day to get better, and that's it. That's it. And people talk about that a lot, but we've been able to do some things that nobody else has done in the country over the past 5 years, 7 years, 25 years, and there's a reason for that. And totally staying laser focused on that over the course of a long season, school start, all those things that take place, stuff happens, and there's only one team left in the end.
The talk of the summer for your team had nothing to do with football. It was Devin Allen. And his hurdling ability. When you're sitting there as the coach of him on the football field and you saw what he did at NCAAs, at U.S. Track and Fields, what was your reaction?
It was so awesome. I mean, I was right there at the starting block watching him step in, and his whole deal was just, you could see it, you could see it coming. He was confident, he was cool, he was totally, focused on everything, and he got to about the third hurdle, and I was standing next to Coach Frost, and I just hit him, and I was like, he's gonna do it, and then at the end of it, we kind of looked at each other, and that might have been too fast. We may have not wanted that to be that fast, but no, he's a guy that we're going to count on. He had a great spring. Has really established himself as a great worker. Now he just needs to kind of prove it on a daily basis on the football field.
You hinted at it. That was what my next question was going to be. Do you have to try to convince him to stay with football? He's the U.S. champ.
No, I'll tell you about him. 3 days before, 2 and 3 days before that championship started, his preliminary started, we did some team building stuff. We did some weight room stuff. We did a bunch of stuff with our guys that was very, very physically demanding and mentally demanding. And so I was talking with Rad before, and I'm going, okay, hey, do we need to think about this? Do we need to taper this? And he's like, probably. And he didn't change one thing. He did, in fact, more than was prescribed. And so again, I think that's just speaks to his character, his competitiveness. He's a driven guy, and I can't wait to see him in a couple years in both sports.
Seems like he has high expectations from the fan base. Spring game, certainly a reason for that, but also I think because he was so, there's a little, fans probably think that it's going to automatically translate. Success on the track will translate to success on the football field. Do you have those expectations for him?
Well, absolutely, in terms of preparing and seeing that plan come to fruition. But we won't put a top on it. It was funny. I was talking to Robert Johnson right after the meet, and he's like, "Man, I never expected him to run that fast." And we just try to never set that limit. We don't want to say, "Hey, we want 20 plays out of you and 10 plays out of you and 5 plays out of you," because it might end up being totally different. And going into fall camp, to have the preconceived notions is unfair to our team. It's unfair to the individuals and their growth. And so that's part of what makes this time of year so exciting is you're going out and you're seeing, there's a couple receivers that haven't played very much, and that door of opportunity is open. Now what? Let's see how they respond. Devin Allen, see how he responds. The young group of guys, see how they show up and can work and can compete. And so that's, as a coach, that's always, probably the most exciting day of the year is the actual first practice of fall camp.
You mentioned the young receiving group. Do you maybe rely a little more on the running backs this year who are proven?
We'll see. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, Byron and Thomas have shown the capability of being very versatile, as far as route runners, obviously ball carriers, and all the things that we ask those guys to do. And then it'll be, dumb answer, it'll be some combination of all that. Or, whether it's who develops quickest out of the young, receiver group, who develops out of the young running back group, and then you just try to put the pieces together from there.
You guys have had a lot of people leave over the summer. I know every summer there are. It seems like maybe this is a higher number. Can you put your finger on why this year so many people have left?
No, I mean the biggest thing and the overarching deal in most of this is playing time. Guys want to play, and the vast majority of these guys saw more writing on the wall ahead of their name than their name, and wanted to play, and that's completely understandable. A couple guys, just quite simply weren't living up to the standards of being in our program, and the player leadership group, myself, we have very, very clear standards for everybody, and if they're not met, they're not met, and hopefully it's a natural duck molting situation, and we move on, because I know we'll be better for it, and hopefully they will too.
Have those standards risen from a discipline perspective?
I don't know. I think we've never been undisciplined,
right.
and that won't ever be the case. Of we have a great culture and a great bunch of guys on our team, and that won't change.
Okay. Nick Aliotti was changing subjects completely. Was up there with you.
Yep.
I didn't watch because I was sitting here, obviously. So what was it like being up there with Nick?
No, it was great. I was just giving him a hard time of, they're going to have like what is it called, a delay? They're going to have a little editing button delay, or maybe move to HBO for some of his segments. But no, he'll do great. I mean, it's one thing he does great is talk, and his ability to entertain, I think, will be great. But it was funny. Yeah, he looks much less stressed, a little less gray hair. Looks great.
I believe it. I believe it. Don Pelham, now in. He's been in for 6 months now, or whatever it is. Have you seen a change at all defensively, whether it be in the culture on or off the field?
Just again, personality. Yeah, there's been some difference, and that's what's tough. It's whether it's me following Chip or DP following Nick. There's just because things are different, it doesn't mean you're picking sides, and that's what I always hate about these kind of questions. But DP's a great communicator, unbelievable teacher, gets a ton out of his guys, and at the same time is an extremely disciplined guy, great disciplinarian. And it's not one of I've called him a player's coach before, and I think that's misunderstood. I think he gets a ton out of guys that want to play for him. That's what that means to me. Yeah. And to some people that means you get free Slurpees and you get to take a few plays off, and that's absolutely not the case.
Right. Michigan State is the first big non-conference marquee game that you'll be the head coach for, of a top 10 matchup. Well, that's in the preseason, obviously not counting bowl games. Do you embrace having a game like that on your schedule?
Absolutely. I mean, they are a tremendous program. I think Coach D'Antonio's done a phenomenal job. Obviously, their defense has been one of the best in the country for the past several years. Offensively, they're no slouch either. I think they're kind of our offense takes away from our defense from a national perspective. I think the same is said in inverse way from their program, but tremendous talent, tremendous scheme defensively, and it'll be a huge challenge. We've got a ton of work to do between now and then, and we'll be excited to play when that day comes.
You're playing them week 2, a week after South Dakota, which is an FCS team that on paper you guys should be able to handle. Do you spend? How do you handle preparing in fall camp? I mean, because you've got that huge game, biggest game nationwide, sitting right there in week 2.
Right. We have in the off season post-recruiting, that we've already done. We basically go through and we scout our non-conference opponents fairly heavily, not 100%, because you don't want to start having a preconceived notion for what you're going to do, and then 3 guys are hurt, or you kind of paint yourself into a corner. But yes, we've taken a look at them, all of our non-conference opponents, and then a couple of key Pac-12 games that have maybe been a coaching change or a coordinator change. That's a body. And so, yes and no. And then in fall camp, we'll spend a little time on some fronts that we don't see that often from our defense, and vice versa. We'll be in more 2-back tight end stuff for the defense, and on defense, we'll reciprocate from a scouting service standpoint.
There's so much talk of changes in college football. The playoffs won, but that I don't know that there's going to be a huge difference there, other than it's 4 versus 2. But the bigger picture stuff that's being talked about, adding money to scholarships, players possibly getting paid as some people want. Where do you stand on that issue of compensating student athletes?
Yeah, it'll be interesting, because it's just not that simple. I hope, but I think I was going to say I hope it's not the case, but I think at the end of this there's going to be a lot of rich lawyers. A lot of guys are going to, whether it's the lawsuits from the current revenue streams and how that all plays out, whether it's the O'Bannon case, whether it's Title IX and how that if you do pay football players A and you play every B, C, and D, how that's all going to play out. It'll be interesting. I'm absolutely 100% behind the players as far as what's best for them. I absolutely don't think that's unionization. I don't think that's best for anybody. But we'll see. It'll be interesting. It'll be an interesting landscape from here on out.
You are in Eugene, obviously, so just like me, you see a lot of number 8 jerseys out there last year, a lot of number 6 jerseys as well, and those fans are buying Marcus Mariota's jersey. there's no doubt about that. It's a lot of money to a lot of
Right.
entities other than Marcus, and Marcus is the one driving all that money. Do you think it's fair that he doesn't get any cut of that?
That's again, that's where the tough discussions start.
Yeah.
And that's a little bit above my rank as far as making those decisions. I think there has to be a way to I don't know what the right word is, equitably distribute some of those dollars to these guys, but then you'll end up with 2 number 5s or 2 number 7s on offense and defense, and then what happens after that. But it's a tough road to travel down when in the collegiate model. It's tough.
Yeah. You get the walk-on defensive back who wears number 8, and he
Right,
gets to
yeah,
cut
yeah.
the ball.
Well, and there's that. There's federal law. There's so many things that govern this. It's just not as simple as let's give these guys more money. If it was, it'd probably be done by now.
Sure. Another year of super high expectations, and you talked about it earlier. Are you able to handle it differently in your second year than you were in your first year?
I don't know. I think the handling the expectations, I think for the most part we did a decent job of that. We didn't play very well in the Arizona game. We competed well in the Stanford game and didn't execute at the level we need to beat a team like that played exceptionally well on that night. And there's things that you take from those games and you fix and you improve. There's a bunch of stuff from those 11 wins that we didn't do very well, and you take those things and you fix and you improve. Yeah. And I think the expectations and management thereof, it'll be much easier to have an attentive conversation when we can just recall just from last season how those games finished, and then where that put us at the end of the year. And our guys will be a very attentive audience.
Last question, what one thing did you learn in your first season as head coach, above all else?
1,000 things. 1,000 things. It's there are just so many things that you do that you've never done before, and things that come across your desk that just you never could have or would have or should have prepared for those things. And I remember somebody last year, or when I first got hired, they told me that you won't feel comfortable for 2.5 years. And I just thought that was so bizarre at the time that, no, there's no way. But I kind of understand what they're thinking. But, luckily where we are, we've got an unbelievable staff across the board, administration-wise, obviously a tremendous amount of support from our donors, and all that stuff is in place. And now we just have to go back to work.